Hello, and welcome to Honeycomb's Build It, how to make an online interactive portal. We are going to begin our session today with a prompt, but I want to invite everyone to check that your name appears in a manner which you feel comfortable. Make sure you can go ahead and rename yourself using the top three dots in the up right-hand corner of your video box. You can also add your pronouns if you feel comfortable to do so. And I'd like to begin with a prompt question for you all. What is something that you have created so far this year that has been out of the box, or a new skill that has taken you outside of your comfort zone? So give it a minute to think about that. And when you're ready, you can go ahead and type some of your answers in the chat box. So what is something you have created so far this year that has taken you outside of the box, or a new skill that has taken you outside of your comfort zone? And take, about 30 seconds to a minute to think about your answer and type it in the chat box when you're ready. So I'm seeing some answers coming in. We have an interactive classroom using Google Classroom for the holidays, which is so perfect because we're going to be talking about that type of space. I've taught a session using Miro Whiteboard, an online benefit, digital Post-it notes for group collaboration, virtual retreats, creating an online check presentation ceremony. Wonderful. Canva for Instagram posts. We love Canva. Canva is awesome. Yeah, so many new things that we've been tapping into our creativity this year. And we really want to tap into some of that today as we talk about how to build an online portal. So before we get into the subject matter of today, just a little bit about who is Honeycomb. Some of you may be familiar with this new name. We recently rebranded some of you may have known us as the Jewish Teen Funders Network. But Honeycomb is the leading resource for Jewish youth philanthropy. We drive innovation and philanthropy education by creating tools, curricula, and trainings for professionals and organizations to deliver high-quality experiences that empower youth to fund real change. Honeycomb is building the future for Jewish philanthropy. Honeycomb organizes and supports a global network of Jewish youth philanthropy programs, inspiring a rising generation of Jewish philanthropists and changemakers. And so from here, I would love to also introduce who is going to be presenting today. So Daniel Siegel is the Senior Program Manager here at Honeycomb. I am also going to be presenting today. My name is Alana Hollander, and I am the Community and Special Projects Manager here at Honeycomb. And I want to extend a really warm welcome to our newest staff member, Alicia Mikluk. She is our new communications and engagement manager here at Honeycomb. So Alicia has been with us just a week now, and we are so excited to have her with us. So welcome, Alicia. So what are we going to be doing today? We are going to be covering the benefits of creating a virtual space. We are also going to be covering the Summit portal. What does it look like and how to use it? And then we're really going to dig into that and do a tutorial and talk about how to build your own. And finally, we're going to talk about the Gather platform review. If you came to our summit, you're familiar with the Gather platform, but this is a great interactive space outside of Zoom where you can interact with others. And just as a reminder, we are going to be answering questions as we go along, but we ask that if you have a question to put it in the chat, and we'll be monitoring that carefully so we can make a stop, or if it's something that we know we're going to be covering later, we'll let you know and make sure to address it later in the presentation. So, what are the benefits of creating this type of virtual space? The benefits of a portal is that all your links can be in one central location. So the participants will only ever need just one link. Another benefit is creating a really welcoming space. We talked earlier, just a moment ago, about tapping into that creativity. And by creating a space that really speaks to your participants, you can really make a space that feels like their own and that is shared with the group. It also can hold resources, videos, and external links to web pages, anything that you're going to need for your conference, for your program, but things that people will need ultimately. And so that this isn't just popping up email after email, it's all in this one location. So what does this space look like? We're going to show you. So if you give us just a moment, Danielle is going to take us over to what our summit online portal looked like. So for those of you who came to the Honeycomb Summit this year, this may look very familiar. And for those of you who weren't, welcome to the portal. And you see we have this main room with different things featured. You have the Honeycomb staff, you have some announcements on the main whiteboard, and you have this other blackboard with all the different things that we used throughout the summit. And so each one has an arrow, and if you click through to each arrow, it will take you to another room with information you would need to run your program or your conference. So the first thing we're going to show you is the schedule. And if we click through, we see we had our conference schedule here, and we were able to show links to each of the other rooms of things that happen throughout the conference. It has our timings, it has times in all of the time zones. So we had Eastern and Central and Pacific and Israel time. And then it actually linked to all the other spaces. So if you came here and you wanted to know more about your workshop or your affinity group, you could click through that way as well. So the next spot on our Blackboard is our conference center, which we're not going to click through to because it's no longer an active link, but that actually took us to our gather space, which we'll talk a little bit more today, later on. Then we had our affinity group space. And this essentially is just links. It's a holder of links to your Zoom rooms. And so people had assignments to be in different groups. They could come here, they could look and see which group they were assigned to, and then go into their meeting room by clicking the appropriate table. We also had workshop rooms, which again had different Zoom links, but we set it up so it really would feel almost like a conference with each room having that link there. And so each one had the different workshop blocks here. The next room is site visits. Also, not surprisingly, a holder of links. So we really just use this as an opportunity to hold these links, but what it does is it takes it that step further. We could have sent them a list with a ton of links, but if you look here, this is our site visit tour. We've got our tour buses. It really creates this sense of whimsy and fun as your participants get to interact with this space. So yes, all of these spots are a holder of links, but how can you really make it feel interactive and fun for your participants? So our next spot is our virtual tote. And the way that we've set this up is that we've taken bookshelves, and these were all our sponsors and friends who had links to share for what would go into a virtual tote. For your own program, you can use it for any external links. If you wanted to do picture frames and a gallery view of different items from other websites of organizations you want them to be looking at, you could also use this type of setup as well. But it's really just a great holder for resources that you might want to connect to with external virtual links. And then finally, we had our instruction room. And as you see, there is a video embedded into this room. So you could put any type of instructions. Again, if you're running a conference, it's a great spot to maybe put a welcome message. But for your program, you might have a video that they might want to watch about an organization. You might have some sort of viewing that they can do together. Obviously, you can watch in YouTube, but by having it embedded, you can actually really make a really fun viewing experience for the group. We also have in here our program booklet and guide for the conference. Another opportunity, if there's any instructions or guidelines that you need to set, you can link to whatever you need to in each and every room. And so without further ado, that is just a basic overview of how we used it at our conference. But I'm going to hand it over to Danielle now to really take us through that tutorial so you can walk through the pieces of how you can be using this either to build your own conference or in your classrooms or with your teen philanthropy program. So Danielle.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you. I'm going to be taking you through some step-by-step instructions about how to set this all up yourself. So as we go along the way, please leave your questions in the chat and we will try and answer them on the fly as we go along. Alana, if you can let me know if any messages come up in the chat while I'm sharing the screen, that would be wonderful. So everything that you see is housed in Google. So what I'm going to show you is kind of all based within that. So I'm going to take you to my Google Drive. And the first thing I'm going to show, which is our kind of little secret trick, is we actually have a catalog so that when you're pulling, if you want to pull some furniture or some backgrounds or some items, you don't have to go looking all over the internet for it. You can just use our catalog. This is actually available. You can make your own copy. It's got tons of different ideas for you. We've got some wall backgrounds. We also have some ready-made templated rooms, which are available for you as well. And then we have lots of pages of objects, and they're all very beautifully categorized so you can find things easily. You can even do like a search for a word and put in chair, and if there's a category that says chair, you'll know which slide to find it on, and there is a table of contents at the beginning as well. So this is going to be your best friend. It'll save you so much time, and you can just copy and paste straight from our catalog. So there are pre-designed rooms, but these are fully customizable because every item on here you see is just an image. So you can remove things, add things, you can totally make it your own. So you can use this to create any kind of space, a lobby, a screening room, a tote bag, library, whatever you want. You can use it for a youth program or a conference. But bear in mind, if you're using one of these templates for a conference, you're going to want to be really aware of customizing it to your own branding and your own conference. Because if everyone is using these templates, it might all start to look the same. So make sure you highly customize it to your own needs. You can add different furniture or add your logo everywhere, or use a different type of avatar, or hang different pictures on the wall, or make different posters. Whatever it is to really make it feel like your own. So we've got our catalog here, which is going to help us as we build. So if you're building as we go along, feel free, open up your Googles so you can follow along or watch what I'm doing here on the screen. So the first thing we're going to do is actually we're going to set up a slide. This whole portal is actually all done in Google Slides. So you go to your Google Drive, you go new, and we make a new slide. And that's how we start. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually name your slide so that you know it's all saved. I'm just going to call it Demo Portal for now. And when I get a new slide, I like to just delete all the boxes, just to make sure that there are no hidden text boxes anywhere. So now we can start adding stuff. You can do this a couple of ways. You can go into our catalog. I might decide that I would like a background. Oh, my computer is freezing slightly. Sorry about that. We can use so many things in this catalog. It's very well stocked. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to copy and paste. And I've added this nice blue brick wall to my room. So you can copy and paste straight from the catalog, but you can also do a Google search online for a particular item. You can go insert image. You can upload from your own computer if there's a particular item you want. Or you can also search the web for an item. If you search web and you put in an item like couch or pillow, use the word transparent when you search. Otherwise, the item you get might have a white box around it, and that doesn't kind of fit necessarily with the atmosphere you're trying to create. So make sure you add in that word transparent. So for now, I'm going to grab from our very handy catalog. So for instance, if I want to grab a chair or a sofa, I can go to our catalog over here. I can go under seating. I like this sofa. I'm going to click it. I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste it into my room. There we go. Now I have an empty room with a sofa. So let's say I'm going to add one more item. I want to add a cushion to my sofa. So I'm just going to go to my cushions page. I'm going to take this nice pop art cushion. I can drag it and put it where I like on my sofa. So I can arrange things as well. So if I have items like I want picture frames all on the wall, and I want to make sure that they are all nicely arranged and aligned at the top, I can select them all, arrange, and I can align. But here, I've decided I want to move my sofa. I want it to one side. So what I'm going to do is I want to move the cushion and the sofa. And I always want them to appear together. So I can click the sofa. I can hold down Shift, click my pillow, arrange, and group, much like you would do on a PowerPoint or Publisher or even in Word. Now I can just move it all across. If I want to align things, I'm going to go to some picture frames. I'm not going to fill anything in the frames just yet, but I'm going to take this nice looking frame over here, copy. I'm going to paste. I would like 3 of these. But I want to make sure they look nice on the wall. So I click them all. You can also drag. Oops, I'm sorry. You can also drag across with your mouse. Arrange, and I want to align them along the top so they're even. And I also want to evenly distribute them across the page. Horizontally. There you go. And now my picture frames look all nice and neat. So you can completely customize your space. You're literally just dragging pictures in and designing the room how you like. So we are going to now add some links to our page. So this is just to send to a basic web page. So I'm deciding that I would like this photo frame in the corner. I want this to go to the Honeycomb website. Maybe I'll even put the Honeycomb logo inside that frame so you know where it goes. So you click it, you go insert, link. I'm going to put my link in. apply. And now when I go into the front end, when I go into the present mode, which I'll talk about in a little bit, you click it and it takes you to the website that you want to go to. So that is adding kind of a basic link from another website. The other thing you can do is you can embed a video. So kind of like in that demo, you could also do a link to an external YouTube page. You just click it and it takes you to YouTube, or you can kind of watch it from the space. So what we could do is we could find some sort of TV or screen in our catalog, just to add, to make it look nice that way. Here we go. Here's a TV. I'm going to copy. I'm going to put this TV, I'm going to make it like a big, like, you know, like a big wall-mounted flat screen. There we go. And I want to put the video right on that screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I've got my link for a video that I would like to link. I just have one saved over here. You go insert, video. You want to do it by URL so that you're going to exactly the right video. This happens to be the instruction video from our conference. I go select, and it appears right in there. You can even have some options about where you want the video to start and whether you wanted to start it immediately on a click, and lots of different options for you. But this is completely movable, and I can resize it too. So I can pop it into the video screen, and then for any participant who comes onto this page, they can watch our video. So again, if I go to the front end, you can see you just click there and it starts our video. So I'm going to stop just for a moment just to check and see if we have any questions in the chat before we continue. Alana, are there any questions at all as we go through?
So far, we're doing good. So everybody seems to be clear, but please feel free to put stuff in the chat if you have questions, and I will continue to monitor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. So now that we've got kind of like our room set up, we might want to add some people. So there are lots of different ways that you can add people. I would say customize it so it looks like your own. I happen to have a Bitmoji, so I could always add that to my space. Bitmoji is actually an app, so you need to download it onto your phone first, set up an account, and that's sort of where your Bitmoji lives. And if you ever want to edit the outfit on your Bitmoji or change the appearance, you have to do it from the phone. But then you can add a little Chrome plugin that you can see up here. So you can just go Chrome plugin or Chrome add-on, and you can search for Bitmoji and it'll add it to your Chrome. So for instance, here I am. Oh, look at that, so appropriate for Star Wars Day today. So I can put in and just say, here, I'll do as fun as the Star Wars one is, it's got a background, so I would love to do this one. Okay, so I'm going to copy the image and I'm going to press paste. Now, this one here has a little hey. I just want it to be me waving, so I can crop this picture, and you can crop any picture you want as well. I could have cropped any of these, so I'll show you how to do that. You click it, it's this little tool up here, crop image, and I can just drag these lines down to wherever I want to crop. I want to crop out the hay, so I'm just going to do this. I'm also going to resize myself because I'm rather large at the moment. I want to be kind of popping out from the screen. There we go. And now I'm in my room. You can type lots of different words into Bitmoji. So for instance, I could even use the word sit and have myself sitting on the sofa. But again, just a really nice way to personalize what you're doing, putting yourself into the space. So a little bit of how I showed you before about present mode. So this is where you're building everything. You've got your slides down the side, but this is not what you're going to be sending to your participants or your conference goers. You're going to be sending them like a front end. So they're seeing this, they're seeing the present side. And you'll see at the moment it's like a slideshow. This appears at the bottom, which is a navigation bar. I'll show you in a minute a trick about how to get rid of that. So in order to send them the right thing, you will find this link. This is the link to your presentation. And the trick is this little word in here. So where you see the word edit, you want to replace that with the word present. So if I open new slide, I'm going to go in here, change that word to present. And then you see the front end. So if you want to make sure and you send it to someone, you just need to change that little word, and that is your key. So another way to do that and to get rid of the search bar is this little nifty bit of code here. So if you want to create a really curated experience, you don't want people to see that slide deck navigation at the bottom. You don't necessarily want them to know that there are lots of different slides. Maybe you've hidden some slides in there and you want people to go to very particular areas. What you do is you take this little code, the preview $RM minimal, and everything after this slash gets replaced with that. So I can copy this. Oh, hang on. So I'm going to take away everything after the slash. I'm going to copy my little cheat code. And you will notice that the navigation bar has gone. So now they won't immediately be able to see how many slides there are. It is, at the end of the day, a slide presentation. So you could always click the arrows on your keyboard to get to subsequent pages. But if you want to make a curated, navigable experience, you want to make it as clear as you can on your screen about how to move to different rooms and encourage people to really only click within the screen rather than clicking arrows side to side. And I am going to show you how to do that in just a minute. So I'm going to stop because I think there might be a question in the chat box.
There is a question. So Shoshana was asking where we got that nifty bit of code.
That nifty bit of code, the internet is a wonderful place, but I'm actually going to put it in the chat box for you.
And we are also going to be sending to all the registrants a follow-up email. And so one of the things we will include in that email is a link to the catalog and to some of these cheat codes, so you have access to what was discussed today.
Wonderful. Any other questions in the chat box before I continue? Okay, wonderful. Okay, so you have your presentation, you've made it, it looks great, you've got your portal, and now you want to make sure that everyone can see it. So you need to look at the permissions and how you want to share it. So there's a section here which says publish to web, and that is going to give you everyone full access to your spreadsheet. So we would not recommend necessarily you doing that, but I just wanted to show you that it's there in case you need it. The place really where you're probably going to be looking is up here in the share. So what you can do is you can change to anyone with a link. And that means it doesn't matter whether they're logged into a Google account or anything else. If they have the link, they can get to it. So it is, if you're doing an open program or something that doesn't have particularly sensitive information, like that is a great way to do it. It's really user-friendly for your participants. So you just change it to change anyone with link. You want to make sure that it says viewer and not edit, otherwise they'll be able to get access to the whole back end of the slideshow. The other option, which is more of a private option, is you can share it with specific people. So not open it up to everyone. You need to add their email addresses in. So this is great because it means it's secure. Only the people with those email addresses can see it. But they have to be logged into their Google in order to see it if you're giving their Google address. Or if you're putting in a non-Google address, it'll send your participants a one-time code that they use to get into the space. So it's really where your priorities lie. If you want it to be secure, if you don't mind that extra passworded step, that is a way to go. If you're really, if you don't want to add that extra barrier and you're not too worried about the link being spread around to other people, you can just make it that anyone can view the link. So I just wanted to show you those two options. Okay, so we have our one room over here. But if you're running a conference or a program, you might not only be dealing with one room. You might want to add lots of different rooms, just like you saw in our portal. So we're going to add some more rooms. And when I say room, I'm really talking about slides. I'm thinking that like a room is a slide. So all we're going to do is we're going to add some more slides. So if you go to the left-hand column here, this shows you like your navigation, again, kind of like in PowerPoint. I can right-click if you're on a PC, and I can do a new slide. Again, I'm going to get rid of any boxes that I don't want. And I'm going to make this into a new room. I'm going to give it a different feel. Maybe I'll make this into some sort of classroom. So again, I'm gonna pick a background. Actually, even better, I'm gonna make it into a gallery. Nope. There we go. Got a couple of things on my gallery wall. And And as I was saying before, you want to make it really easy to navigate. So at the end of the day, yes, people could just click the arrows on their keyboard to move to a next page, but people might not automatically know that. And it also means that people will be moving around your space only in order. And you want to make it, you saw ours had multiple pages, so you can go in lots of different directions. So you want to make it really crystal clear how you navigate to different places. So let's just say this is my room. And I want to do an arrow to get to the gallery, to get to page 2. So for now, I'm going to use arrows. You can use whatever you like. You can use a signboard. You can use signposts, whatever you like. I'm just going to use an arrow for now. I'm going to double click. I'm going to say go to gallery. Why not? You can customize everything. I'll make it bright green, just so it's really, really clear. I can change the font if I like. And then what we're going to do is we're going to link it to where we want to go. So I want it to go to my second slide here, which is gallery. So what I do is I take my arrow, I click it, I go insert, link, and then rather than putting the website, which is what I did last time, I'm going to put in, oh, I'm sorry. I just need to move it up so I can see it on my screen. There we go. I'm going to link it to slide 2. And equally, in my gallery, I can also add my arrow here. And I could say go back to main room, or whatever you want to call your room. I can add my link to slide 1 and apply. So now, if I go into present mode, you can see, here's my arrow, I click it, it takes me to my gallery room. Now if I click to go back to main room, it takes me back to my main room. So these are just really clear ways that you can do the space. As you saw in our other version, we had a notice board with lots of different arrows. So you can really go to several different places within your page. So the other key thing to remember, again, this is a slideshow. We're doing our best to make it look like not a slideshow because we really want to make it feel like that interactive online space, but it is a slideshow. So there are a couple of things that are intrinsic to slideshows. Same in Google Slides and same in PowerPoint, which is that when you click on a slide, it automatically takes you to the next slide. That's just something that happens with slideshows. And if you do PowerPoint presentations, you'll know that. But if you click anywhere, it takes you to the next slide. We don't really want that to happen. If people are clicking around and using the space, I don't necessarily want them to click on the photo frame and then, it navigates them away from the page, or like I click somewhere completely random and it navigates them away. So there's a little trick to avoid that. Just like we had to add a link to this arrow to tell it to go to slide 2, what you want to do is you want to add a link to any items to stay on the slide it's already on. So for instance, I don't want this cushion to go anywhere. If someone accidentally clicks the cushion, I just want it to stay on slide 1. So we're going to add a link to the cushion to stay on slide 1. So at the moment, remember from before, I moved them all so they're all grouped. You can't add a link if things are grouped. So the first thing you want to do is ungroup them. I want to take my cushion. I'm going to go add a link. And this is on slide 1. I don't want my cushion to do anything. I'm going to keep it on slide 1, apply. So then when I'm in my room, I can click on my cushion all I like. I'm not going anywhere because I've set it to do that. But I didn't set up my sofa yet. So if I click my sofa, it moves on to the next slide. So it's something really kind of key to be aware of. It is a little time consuming because you have to do it for every item, but it means that you're making a really great, clear, curated experience for the participants who are using it. Okay, so before I go on to virtual tote bags, I just want to check the chat. So Alana, tell me if there are any questions in the chat.
So there are a few coming in. So Arnie asked, do you have to add a link to every object to avoid going to the next slide? And like you just said, yes. Unfortunately you do.
Oh,
and that includes, I do want to point out, that does include your background image as well. So it's literally every image that you have on the page is, if you want them to stay put, they have to be linked to that current slide. Natalie asked, why can you not just add it to the group of items, the link?
I wish you could. It's just that isn't a function of the Google Slides at the moment. You need to add a link to individual items, not to groups. Google is improving things all the time, so you never know. That might be a feature that they add further down the line.
And then we have a question from Emily, who asks, if you were making an online portal to be read like a book, how would you first would see the cover and then click to see 2 pages at once? Would you do this in Google Slides, or is there another platform you would recommend?
So if you want to do it like a book, you could always pick this, your first page as your front cover, and do links to other pages. So you can have a little contents page, kind of like you see in our catalog, and say, item on page 1, click here to go to that page. You wouldn't be able to see 2 pages side by side unless you set it up that way, unless you import the images and make it look that way. There are other programs that can make like online magazines or flip books. There's one called Issuu, which we use, ISSUU. That is a paid service. So you could always do a link to that so that you could flip through a book easily. You can also do a link to an external PDF, which I'm going to show you in a little bit as well. I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry that I don't think the functionality you quite want is within this, but with a little bit of manipulating, you can kind of use the first page as a front cover with the contents. Alana, any other questions so far?
I think that's it for now, but we will keep on keeping track.
Great. Okay. So now we are going to do how to make a virtual tote bag or an extra gallery or a library or whatever you like of that nature. So I'm going to go and make my new slide. And I want this to be like a bookshelf, let's say. So I'm going to go into my catalog over here. I'm going to pick, I don't know, this brick wall looks quite nice. I'll use that. And then I'm going to add a bookshelf. I kind of want it to be like a bookshelf or a library with some items on it. So I'm going to go to bookcases and I'm going to pick a bookcase that I particularly like. I'm going to go for, I want something that is, there are some angled ones, but I would like something that is more flat and straight on. So I'm going to go for this one here. I'm going to have my bookcase. You can always resize things just by pulling on the corner. I want a nice, like I'm doing a close-up of a bookshelf in this room. Here we go. Okay, and I want to add some items. So this can be like your tote or your library. So what you want to do is you want to put an image there to start off with so that people know where they're clicking. Like if you have a tote bag or like, you know, imagine it's going to be like your front cover, for instance. So I could, let's say I wanted to go to the Honeycomb website. So I'm going to go to Honeycomb. It's a website, so it's not necessarily going to look like a front cover, but for now I can just take a little screen grab. You can upload an image too. There we go. And I want to make it look like, you know, an item. If you want to get really fancy, you can always add a little bit of a drop shadow to make it look like it's kind of on a shelf more. And I'm going to add my link. So I can go insert, link. I want it to go to our website, apply. And you now have an item on your shelf. You click it, it takes you to the website you want to go to. So that's one way of doing it as far as adding an item. Now, if you want to add an item like a booklet, like someone just mentioned, or another article or resources, or for proposal review, you know, if you have like forms or proposals from organizations and you want to lay them all out on a shelf, you can like embed PDFs into your item. So I have here, I actually have our Honeycomb Changemakers 90 curriculum. So if I decide I quite want to link, I would like to link to this. I'm just going to take an image for now. I would probably do the whole of the front cover, but just in the interest of time. I'm going to add it to, whoops. I'm going to add it to my bookshelf. Again, like it's a book or a front cover. And I want to open that PDF. So you want to make sure that they're all uploaded into your Google Drive, whatever you want to show. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to share. I'm going to make sure that it says anyone on the internet who has this link can view. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to click it. I'm going to go insert, link, and I'm putting that Google link that I just copied from my item. And you can see here, you can see like the preview. So now when I go into present mode, I can see my two items on my shelf. I can click it and it automatically opens my PDF. So if you do want to do a book or you want to show items, it doesn't necessarily have a double page flip like a book, but if you're uploading your PDFs, there you go. And And really, you can do whatever you like with this. You can have as many different items. You can customize the space. You can make it look like a library. You can have a list of things at the side. We used it for a virtual tote bag. We loved it. I think we're going to go paperless, even if we have in-person conferences going forward, because it's so great having things on this kind of in this virtual space. So again, another useful tool there. And here, as you see, it's now slide 3. So if I want to do that, adding an arrow that takes me to my library, I can change that, say go to library, insert, I can do my link. I would make it go to slide 3 and apply. And now when I present, I go to library and it takes me to my library.
We actually have a question. Erica wants to know if you link to the bookshelf to this current from one slide to the other, does that mix up the links on the individual items on the bookshelf?
So when they're not grouped, they are all like individual items. So this bookcase is one item, this image is another item, this image is another item. So at the moment, the bookcase isn't linked anywhere. So remember, if you're in the presentation mode, it'll actually move you on to the next slide, which is what you don't want. So if these two are linked to external things, again, you just want to remember, okay, I don't want the bookshelf to move things. You insert your link so that your bookshelf stays on slide 3. I'm sorry, my screen is not big enough to show you further down. So no, if you're putting links on these two items, it's not going to affect the link of the others. You need to make sure that you set it to where you want to go. Wonderful. So that was our basic tutorial on how to set up your space. We are going to now show you very quickly, so you can get kind of an idea of what it looks like, what we used for Gather, which was what we used as an accompaniment to this portal space, and we'll show you a little bit about how you can use that and the best functionality and how it can dovetail with this. So Alana, I am going to hand the microphone back over to you.
Thank you. So as Danielle mentioned, we're going to be talking a little bit about Gather, which a large portion of our conference we did in Zoom, which you're all familiar with. But we also decided to use another space in the hopes of making it a little bit more communal, a little bit more interactive. And we use this space called Gather. Some basic info about Gather: it is free up to 25 people. So especially if you're working with your programs and you want to have a fun interactive space for your participants, really great free resource for a smaller group. But even after that, it's paid per person, but it's really affordable. And I highly recommend you go to their site and look at their pricing plans and see if it's a fit for you. They have many different templates available pre-made, so you could potentially just grab and go and set up your space and be in a really good position to set up a really good program space or conference space or event space online. It's also fully customizable. So we had very specific needs for what we wanted to do with our conference space. And so we actually had somebody that we brought on in a part-time fashion to help us create that and really curate a specific experience for our conference goers. You could potentially hire somebody out for this experience, or you could, if you have the bandwidth or a dedicated staff person, you could have them do it as well. But just we want to flag for you, it is time consuming. And so that's really up to you if that's within your bandwidth to do. We also have, so how you might use Gather yourself. We used it for a conference. You may want to have a really interactive networking event, an opening retreat for your participants. There's also a check ceremony. It's really a great opportunity to get people from the community involved and to be in a new space other than Zoom, which is exciting. And you could also use this for a philanthropy fair. So the way that Gather is set up, again, for those of you who weren't at our conference, you didn't get to see it, but we're going to show you some screenshots of what it looks like. But there's the potential to really walk up to different spaces or walk up into these spaces. And so as you do that, it's really a great opportunity to be interacting in a different format than you've typically seen in Zoom. So what did it look like? So we had a main lobby area that we created. Actually, let me take a step back and tell you a little bit about the functionality before I jump ahead to main lobby. But essentially, in the functionality area of like how this works, you actually need to be near one another. So you have a little avatar, and you actually can use the keyboard functions on your computer and walk that person around. And as you walk up to other people, their camera turns on and their audio turns on, and you can start bumping into people and having conversations. There's also a chat feature in Gather that you can use to see who participants are in the space, and you could send a chat. I see Danielle is there, and I can send her a little message saying hello, or hey, let's meet up in the main lobby. You also can actually find attendees in that participant list, and there's actually a button that says follow. And so when I click follow, it's going to take me straight to that person. So there's lots of ways to connect and interact with people that are in this online space. So now getting to the main lobby area, for our conference, we had a help desk, and we actually had a tech IT person on staff for our conference who was sitting there and helping participants if they were lost, if they needed any tech support, any sort of help. That person was there. Just as you would have somebody at a real conference, we had a help desk. In the main lobby, there was also pods and tables for private conversations. So if you stepped onto certain spaces and took a virtual seat, only the two people sitting at that table would hear one another as that conversation was happening. And then there was also lots of open space to be able to bump into people. So you would be controlling your little avatar using your key functions, and then all of a sudden you would bump into somebody that you might know, or maybe somebody new that you've never met before. So it really recreated that feel of an actual conference or being in person. We also had team rooms, so we had divided up for different activities into teams. We ran a scavenger hunt, and in the team rooms, only the people in that room could hear one another and could see each other's cameras. So it was another opportunity to have a smaller, more private conversation among the group. The other thing that people could do in those areas is that they can share their screen. And so if you needed to share your screen, only the people in that area would be able to see your particular screen for the team. Another area we had was a shuk, or a marketplace. So we had different organizations being represented there that could talk to people and participants to share about their organization. Each person in the shuk had a booth, and each booth had a poster that you could actually walk up to, and you could click a button, I think it was the X button, and it actually would pop up on the screen showing you a little bit more information about the organization. From there, you could decide, oh, this is really interesting. I want to have a conversation with the person sitting at this booth. Again, another feature to simulate what it's like to be at a conference in person with everybody. So from there, we also had an auditorium space. So this is, again, very classic conference feel. Everybody could be sitting in a virtual seat. You had a podium, so people could make announcements from the podium. And anybody standing on that little podium square, the announcement would go to the entire room, as opposed to just the person standing next to you. So somebody would stand at the podium, and everybody sitting in this room will be able to hear. You could also share a video in this space. So again, a great opportunity for a check ceremony or closing graduation ceremony to have an auditorium space and feel. And then finally, we also had a hangout space. We had a bar and we had a sky deck. And this is really where you can make your space really cute and whimsical. And we really just don't want to underestimate this. We've been all in these same Zoom rooms. And so having a little bit of fun that's going to really make it pop to the eye and makes it that much more fun and enjoyable for your participants. You can have a mixture in these spaces of open spaces and private seats. So really just a great opportunity to use the platform and make it really fun and interactive. So we highly recommend that you go check out Gather as another spot. And then finally, because we're coming to the end and we only have 2 minutes left, just a few wrap up and announcements from Honeycomb. On May the 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be having Learning How to Give, a real giving circle experience for mental health. Some of you may know it's Mental Health Awareness Month. We have $600 available for the group to donate that will be going to a mental health organization. And then we'll be doing an actual giving circle experience in the first portion of the session, and then we'll peel back the curtain and show you how to model. You'll be able to model the actual experience and then bring it back to your spaces and recreate it. So we'll pull back the curtain and go over what we just did. We also have some places that Honeycomb is going to be this month. We're going to be at the We Give Summit. We're also going to be presenting at the Spotlight on Social Justice and at the JTN Conference. So you can look for us there. We will also send some information out about that. And then finally, we're going to be conducting our field-wide survey later in June. So we hope you will all be on the lookout. If you've run a philanthropy program this year, we want to hear from you. And that is coming up in June. So that brings us to the end of Build It, how to make an interactive online portal. We have our contact information on the screen. We really encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about this or anything youth philanthropy related. We're always happy to have a conversation. And we wish you all a wonderful day.
I'm happy to hang back